Hello, everyone. My name is Adele Taylor with the Garden State Film Festival, and I'm excited to be today speaking with Jesse VandenBergh and Sean Newman, also known as the Frog Boys, on their film Buildings. Jesse and Sean, thank you so much for joining with me today. I'm so excited.
Thanks, Adele. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Of course. Well, first things first, I introduce you, but this name, the Frog Boys, I mean, how did you come up with it? I'm giddy just thinking about it because it sounds like such a cool name. How did that name come about?
We made like one animation. Like our first animation was just kind of like a, hey, let's try this out.
Okay.
And it went over well. So we're like, let's keep making more. We're like, well, what do we call ourselves if we're like a duo who's making animations? So I think we must have like thrown back and forth a bunch of different names. And I think Frog Boys was just like the first one that made both of us laugh. I forget who came up with it, but it was just like, that's stupid and we love it.
I love it. I was so enamored. I was like, oh, Jesse and Sean, but they say the Frog Boys. Now I feel like I need a name for myself, but it might be weird just to name me by myself, a group name, but I'll work on it.
It's cool. I say do it.
Cool, do it. Okay, well, I'm going to work on it throughout this interview. So tell us a little bit more about the film Buildings. What was when your start into anime? How did it come about?
We started an animation, just like both Sean and I are like sketch performers, we're improvisers. We would make, live action sketches together. I know my ideas, I think Sean's as well, kind of tend to be more high concept. And
very big budget.
Around with a camera, like it's hard to like shoot a sketch that takes place on the moon without it looking bad when you have no money. I remember like Sean had once said that he was dabbling in animation. Okay. I'm an illustrator. I went to art school. So I was just like, I had this like weird high concept idea. And I was like, would you want to try to like put our brains together and just make an animation? So we did. And then, yeah, we just kept going from there. And Buildings is our first step into the 3D realm, into like the Pixar verse, or just, trying to make something that looks like that.
Okay.
Which, Sean was like, I feel like Sean was like really, I don't know. I feel like you pushed us to do that, and it's.
I was very gung ho about it. Yeah, we just
like we're gonna go home, go big or go home.
Pretty much, like we both loved all the old Pixar stuff, from Toy Story to Cars and everything in between, and even Soul lately. I saw that like recently, and that is incredible. Right? It's incredible. Yeah. So the idea with Buildings really came about, like, all these Pixar movies have, toys talking, cars talking. So we're like, let's see if, an inanimate object that will never move, they're just staying in their neighborhood. How much creative stuff can we have go on just in their block?
That's amazing. Now I have to ask, because the animation side of film is still relatively new, like there's still a lot being explored. What is your favorite part about animation? I know you kind of touched on small things here and there, but when you're creating this film and it's an animation film, what gets you so excited to create it?
I know for me, what's exciting about creating an animation is the fact that you get to see it all come together from the comfort of your own home. Mm-hmm. That's not to say that we're not like working really tirelessly to make this stuff, but we've also both been involved in like film and television, and that just requires so much like going out of the house and coordinating and planning and traveling, which is tiring, and there's this added layer of that being extra hard to do during the pandemic. Mm-hmm. So animation's just been this really wonderful thing where you get that same satisfaction of just seeing your ideas coalesce into this to go from concept to a finished thing without, leaving your bedroom.
Wow.
Yeah, I'd say for me, it's definitely the most fun is the beginning, throwing things around and coming up with the concepts.
Okay.
That's that's where you just throwing stuff off the wall and doing the voices, because we kind of do it all really with it. So that's kind of like the most enjoyable part, but the other parts are still a labor of love. It's still a labor of love, but a little more laborious when you're sitting there and moving little, arm bit by bit or whatever.
So I've got to ask, you guys seem pros at this. And although animation is still relatively new and there's so much to still explore, we do see a lot of films that are being animated even more so now. What is something that you did not know about animation before starting this process that you clearly had to find out during making this film?
That's a great question. I think my answer is just how to do it. I never, really formally learned animation.
Okay.
It's still weird to call myself an animator. I think what we found out is that there's not like the way to animate. There is the way that works for us. And I think, we're still learning, and it's just like from when we started in 2016 and on, it's just been like, all right, how can we, like, what new things can we learn to make this a little tighter, make this a little bit better? So, yeah, and like, it's that kind of thing where it's like, you learn a little bit incrementally, and then like one day you're just like, I guess I'm an animator.
And YouTube tutorials.
Yes. Shout out to YouTube tutorials.
That's really what's carried us.
So for those that are just getting started in the film industry, I know the Garden State Film Festival has a diverse pool of filmmakers, from those just starting out. We even have high school. I love to watch them and love to see how passionate they are. What would you tell them if they were interested in making an animation film? What would be your biggest piece of advice besides YouTube tutorials, which clearly everyone loves?
I don't know if there's any specific like bit of wisdom I can impart. I think it's just like, if you
patience.
Patience, yeah.
Patience. That's a good one.
Patience is what it takes. And I'm someone I'm impatient unless I'm just very like into a project. So I'd say, like, if you have the drive, you'll find a way to do it. I would almost just want to I would ask the high school kids advice on like, what do you like? How do you do? Because like, Gen Z is doing some really cool, exciting stuff.
They are. I'm like, wait, what? How did you do that? And you did it all in like less than 2 hours? Very, very talented generation. Oh, this sounds so great. I'm always really interested in learning more about the film, but I mean, animation just has, I think, a complete mind of its own, and it's still an area that a lot of people aren't familiar with. We love watching it, but we're not as in tune with the intricacies of it. So I know you guys say that there are a lot of popular Pixar films that you like. Is there any one, or maybe ones in particular, that really helped you along through this process and maybe gave you some creative ideas or juices flowing in terms of creating buildings?
Yeah, I would say like the Cars film is probably the direct parody, if there was going to be a direct parody of it. Like even the character I play, Skeeter's Hardware, he's kind of based off of like that Mater character, like that, like, rusty old truck character from the Cars movies. So like we had a few characters like that we wanted to like make similar in that vein. So I'd say that's probably like the main foundation of it. But I mean, the best part of this one though, for us, from going to 2D to 3D, was we had a crew on this entire production. So that was big. And like, still like compared to a lot of big budget films, it's a smaller crew, a way smaller crew, but like it was a crew nonetheless. It wasn't just Jesse and I for once. So
people that can help, I'm telling you, they make all the difference.
And so we linked up with a guy named Anid Mekic, and he was really just our guardian to really getting the right feel for that Pixar look that we were looking for.
We could not have done this without a need. He made it look, he like, we had the idea, he like really brought it to life.
Wow. So what's next for you guys, the Frog Boys? I mean, you have such a great film here. Is there something that you're looking forward to in the future that you can share with us, maybe?
Well, we're always releasing like 2D animated sketches on YouTube and Instagram, TikTok. So that's kind of our through line that is constant. So we should have one that we're releasing at the end of February. And yeah, I guess you could just keep your eyes peeled every month at frog_boys. Across social media platforms.
And boys with a Z. It's an important distinction.
It's a very cool distinction. I like that. I have to ask, I know it's not your first film, but what made you enter the Garden State Film Festival, and what does it mean to have buildings be accepted into it?
Yeah, I mean, we're both from the Garden State, so we're super honored to be part of it. Yeah. How about yourself? Are you from Jersey as well?
I'm from Garden State, South Jersey. I always have to say that. Sorry.
But where does South Jersey start? That's the question.
That's up for debate. I feel like we don't have that much time to.
You're right. You're right. There'll be a whole nother hour.
But it's pork roll and not Taylor ham to you.
That's all we got to know.
I love this. This is the video I'm going to show everyone when they're like, oh, there's no difference. I'm like, no, people in Jersey would disagree. There's a north, a south, and depending on who you talk to, is central Jersey as well. So
yeah, we're super happy too that it's in Asbury Park this year. That's amazing. My family has a house like right near there in Ocean Grove, so I spend a lot of time in Asbury. It's beautiful.
Wow. So are you guys coming to the film festival? Is your family and friends coming?
Yeah, absolutely.
I see lots of head shaking. Yes. I love this. Well, thank you guys so much for being here and talking with me virtually. That is, I'm really excited to be at the Garden State Film Festival. It's the 20th anniversary. I know we have some amazing films that are going to be shown just like yours. And speaking of yours, buildings, people that are watching and trying to figure out when they can see it, you can actually see it on Saturday, March 26th from 11:45 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Berkeley Hotel. So lots of great films to be showing. Buildings obviously is going to be one of them. The Frog Boys, do you guys have anything else you want to say before we end this amazing interview?
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And the Garden State Film Festival, we're honored to show our film with you guys.
Yes, well, we're honored to have you. Thank you guys so much.
And I do have to ask you, what is your Frog Boy's name? What's your brand name? That
I know you were going, I was thinking about that. I was trying to pay attention and make sure I could go back and forth with you, but I think I actually love to produce content on the side. And so my name, ironically, is called Global Curls. And instead of an S, it has a Z. So I think I'm going to stick with that since we're feeling the Z over S vibes.
Yeah, I love it.
I love it. Well, thank you guys again. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Adele.